Hello and welcome to episode 13 of the EUphoria podcast, ahead of the finals of the spring split. I'm Drakos, that's Rob. We're both wearing KC jerseys because we lost a bet. Shout out to KC, first in the regular season. Also just smashed Fnatic, spoiler alert. And as always, it's still a podcast. We're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify.
And to celebrate that, we had Caliste Reha on to talk about how they smashed Fnatic, what gets them stressed, what their learnings were from firsthand, and mostly what their expectations are for next weekend as well.
Also, insane trash talk for Supa. Yeah. And Yike, weirdly, that came out of nowhere. So really, you're going to want to check this one out. All right, here we are. Sooner than expected. Did you guys have a dinner date or something? Because this is the shortest day of my life. I've been gone for 2 weeks. I came back for a best of 5. I knew I'd be wearing a KC jersey. To be honest, I was nervous if you guys lost how this podcast would go. But did you have somewhere to be? It's like a speed run of deleting Fnatic from playoffs. How are you guys feeling right now? This is the most one-sided best of 5 in our entire playoffs so far. And this is certainly not where I expected it to be.
No.
I go. Yeah. No, we didn't have much prepared after the win, but for sure I wanted to make a statement. I mean, we already wanted to do it yesterday, but we dropped the game. And the thing is, it's a team we know really well, and I think they know us really well, but I guess we get on top of them in terms of draft today. And in winter, as I said, it's like if we don't give them the tools, I think we can for sure like 3-0 those guys. Is what we've been saying for almost a month. So I'm very happy with the win. Obviously, it would have been very awkward if we lost and we would be here, but we won, so it's a good day. Yeah.
We had a backup podcast where we talk about history and more. And we'll still get some of that today, but now we can talk about the future rather than having to keep it more past focused.
Yeah.
I mean, Rob, that was absolutely a crazy game. A reminder, if you're wondering and you're watching in YouTube land, we're wearing jerseys today because we did lose a bet. So before we talk more about playoffs, we did not predict you to come first in the regular season. This isn't about where you'd finish in playoffs. We really firmly believed that you guys would take a nap after first stand. Yeah. And by a lot of interview quotes, it seems like from your perspective, you were holding back, but you still came first. So here we are wearing these beautiful KC jerseys, which are available now. So whether you're a lover of KC or a hater and you want to make some dumb content, either way, check them out. Shout out to KC. We messed up. How do you guys feel about your run this split so far?
I think during the regular season, as we pretty much all said, we were a bit sleepy compared to what we showed in the first end and even in the winter split playoff. But I would say, like, at least for the first weeks, it should be normal that we are not in the best shape after the first end because, well, there is a lot of stress, we are exhausted and everything. So I think for me, like the 2 or 3 weeks, it's a bit normal that it's a bit messy and we are not playing as good as we should be. But for some reason, the weeks later, we are not playing as good as we were used to in playoffs, and we are missing the little thing that, like the little spark that was basically making us like the best team by far instead of like just a good team in the top 3 that is always good but can sometimes mess up. I think it's a pretty good split overall. I mean, in playoffs, well, it's going good for now. I think we will make the lower bracket run, but I think the regular season was a bit weird. And even though it was a bit weird, we still ended up being first. So I think it's a pretty good split, I would say.
It feels like, to me at least, Robin, you can correct me wrong, it feels like the spark is back.
Yeah.
At the very least, from this series, super dominant. You did drop a game yesterday, as you highlighted, but what was the process like from your perspective of like getting the wheels back on the bus, getting the car moving again? Because I know that this kind of event fatigue is a new problem for you guys to solve, right? This year, it's a unique circumstance to be in. So what was your strategy for giving the players the right amount of space without, coming down too hard, but also making sure that they could show up in time to have a series like this?
I mean, I think that's something we talked with the staff after first end instantly, because I think we had 10 days after first end. And the thing is, we knew going to spring splits that the first weeks were very important if you want to go top 4 for the regular season. So I think it was a mix of, as you said, giving the right space, giving the right amount of free time and off time so the players can actually rest, go see their parents. I think it happened. We were probably the only team in LEC who actually sent the players back home in the middle of a split. But I think it was very needed, just clear from our perspective. And I think there's a lot of different things. I think, the meta changed a bit with the grub split. It didn't change that much. And I think the most important is we get back to our foundation, our basics, especially this week. I think we showed it. So, playing obviously strong 3-3 around both sides, but also having good jargon control. I think this was missed last week against KOI, which makes the game actually way easier to play, I think. Because when you're running behind in terms of dragons, it's a bit annoying. You have to play for position and stuff, and I think it's a bit different. And I mean, also, it's like, I think we're a team that's thrives under pressure. Even if we have young players, I think like that guy, for instance, he's really happy to play. Like today, I'm pretty sure like he's not going to say it, but he's pretty happy against those guys and show them, okay, look, who's on the Rifts,
Who's on the first All Pro team?
Yeah, I mean, I know we are a team like this, and it's very important as well that we clutch these moments. And I mean, it's still a lower bracket run. We're still not qualified. We are not where we want to be, but I hope we are on a good road. Just
on the coming back from first stand, you're obviously you've come back, you've taken a load of learnings from first stand, but you still want to give the players a break. How do you try and balance I want to try and take the learnings and kind of keep that motivation and run from from first stand versus giving that break? Because you want to implement those learnings fairly soon, but you also need a break.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the learnings were during first stand. So even if it was a very short amount of time, we knew what were the conclusions. We knew what we needed to do to be able to beat the Korean teams, or at least be able to compete, because, I mean, we got one game, but it's not like we can say that we competed against HLE, for instance.
2 games.
So, yeah, I mean, 2 games, but yeah. I mean, still 2 games, but yeah. It's like we knew what the conclusions were, but I think it was mostly champion pool wise how we want to draft, because I think winter, like, it's very clear how we want to play. We're gonna have a mage on mid, we're gonna have like tank jungler, and it's like we are on this type of like support who's going to play engage. Like, we know we are very good on this type of meta, but guess what, against Korean teams they play very aggressively in early games, and if you don't have to play free or just match, then the game is just cooked, which happened. And so we knew that we needed to change things, and after the break, like, we just talk down what we need to do.
How did international competition compare to your expectations, Caliste? Like, did it live up? Were you like, oh my god, LCK LPO players, this is crazy? Were you disappointed? What was going through your head? Finally at international, obviously first stand's a little bit different. It's a very short tournament compared to the MSI, etc.
Yeah, I mean, it was very short, but it was really interesting, and I think it just lived up to my expectations. I was living each day like it was the last one. It was very short, and also like it's very tense, because, for example, we were playing like, I don't know how much time we had when we arrived in Korea, but probably like maybe just 1 week before playing, and then we had to do like a lot of content and everything, and then we had like basically 1 or 2 days of scrim, and then we played in officials, and basically, well, it didn't go well at the start, but basically we are doing a few days of content into 1 or 2 scrims, and then we play in official. It's not going well, and after the official games, like the night, we are still screaming like the China teams, because the Korean teams, they didn't really want to scream us, but we screamed a lot of China teams, and it was really interesting. And also, just even though it was not a big stadium, it was only the LoL Park, I guess. It was really cool and changing to play there, and also you can feel already that everything is different, because it's an international event. You're not used to the teams, like you don't have the habits also of like, oh, it's playing Fnatic or we're playing KOI, we know how they play. No, we don't know how they draft, we don't really know the players and everything, so everything is different. It just feels really good to play. And also I had the chance to play against the best ADCs in the world that I wanted to play against, and you can see that they are the best ADC in the world for a reason. And it's good, because I was like, okay, they are better than me, but I know I can do better than this, and I'm not so far from them, so I'm really excited to play against them. And for example, I think against Jackal and Viper, I really like showed up, I get better, and I love playing against players that are better than me or match like contesting me, because I'm not the guy that runs when someone is running on me. I don't want to run, I want to fight. So it's really interesting to play against these players, and just, well, if they are better than me, they are better than me, and I will just learn. So I think the experience was really cool, and that's why I really want really hard to go back to the MSI for a longer time, and I will say better try at MSI, I will say.
Yeah. I think, it was I'm happy with where you guys finished, but obviously first stand was it was a bit scary there for a couple of days. Some things felt a little out of LEC fans or KC fans' control. We'll just wait and see what happened, but worked out nicely. But MSI, if you can get there, right, still a match ahead of you. I do want to talk a little bit about today. I'm curious how you guys felt about the matchup overall. I know game 1 we were talking about we were uncertain. You picked Draven. It felt like pretty bold. Made sense in the context of the draft. We were like, oh, is this going to pay off? Then they lane swapped on you like 80 times. It felt like they reset, swap, reset, swap, reset, swap. And to your point earlier,
we're KC team, the team that is swapping every game.
They were swapping. But you guys kept getting every single objective. You'd mentioned it earlier, like dragon control is important. You had it every single game. Were you surprised by it? It looked very effortless when we were casting the game to just see you get every single objective, every single first objective. Were you surprised that Fnatic didn't fight harder for it? Because there wasn't a lot of contesting over first Drakes. It was just, you guys kind of just got it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Caliste can talk about it too, but I think also we have very good matchups on bots. Every time, so it's way easier because we're in control and we know how to play against those. Like this team, we know, I mean, they can attack Kana, but we know how it's going to be. We upset Razor playing 3-3, so as long as we match and we're stronger, it's which happened the first two games. I think it's easier, and as Caliste was saying, like the swap were also helping, especially game one, which I understand because they have the Sion and they don't want to have Caliste against Draven, but then I think just if we get objectives and we get a cash out on Draven, this game is probably way easier to play.
Were you surprised when you got a random 1,000 gold cash out from an ult across the map? I don't think I've ever seen a Draven get that many stacks just to cash out in such a... I don't know if it was good as well executed, team waits for it, but normally I'm waiting for that big epic team fight. Instead it was kind of just a random, whoop, okay, 1k gold lead.
I mean, not really, because in this game, well, they lost their both sums level 3 because they tried to kill me under tower, but they couldn't. So from then, they had to perma swap because basically it was good because they had the Sion into Jace, and also they couldn't really play. Like if the wave is bouncing into me, they will not be able to play the game 3v3. So they were just swapping around, and basically we knew they couldn't really attack Kana, even though it would be a bit awkward for him, and he couldn't have the Sion. We just decided to play for the Drakes, the Grubs, and everything. We could decide when we want to swap and when we want to match them, basically. And as we said earlier, Fnatic knows us and we know them very well. So my mindset was just to win no matter what the bot lane and have good matchups and be the most aggressive possible. I think it showed a lot in second game. Even game one, I think I did a bit of aggressive plays. And basically, we knew if we have the better bot matchup and we can abuse them, it will be pretty easy to just get river control, play Drakes, play objective and everything. And also we are the team that loves to play objectives, and Fnatic, they don't really like to play objectives. They're more playing around kill, dives, all these things, invade. So it's not really surprising for me that we get all the objectives because it's like just two different styles of playing the game, I think. And it showed up against MKOI that we were not playing the Drakes, and I think that's mostly the reason why we lost. And now that we are playing Drakes, we are way more together, we are way more connected, and we're just basically more mindful about how the game is playing and not like just a random scrim where we're just playing for kills. It's just way more easier.
It just gives you 1 point to focus on, something shared. In the games yesterday, it was kind of random. In the midst of Flackhead popping off for whatever reason, there was a little voice clip of like talking about you guys not being on the same page. This is from mid-game 3 voice comms, and I'm curious, what happens in game that results in you guys not being on the same page, that results in this kind of chaos catching in and you're not all quite making the same play together?
I mean, just pretty easy because we have like five players that are really talented and have great ideas. It's just that, well, sometimes we are overcomplicating it, basically. It's just we can have like a really simple decision, like, I don't know, we just say like, go 5 mid and play Drake, but we want to do different things and everything, and in game, you don't have much time to really like discuss and say, okay, we want to do this play, we don't have to do that, and everything. You have to commit onto one play, and this is the most important. And I think like against MKOI, we really couldn't focus on one play. We were not together and not focused. And against Heretic, I think it's in the second game that mostly showed up. We were not really connected, we were not together, and we couldn't find the play we all wanted and we will all be aligned on. So I think that's basically what we are saying when we need to be connected and everything.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing also as well with our team is like there's not one guy who's calling, or one guy who's talking. It's like everybody can take the responsibility. Caliste can take the responsibility, Vladi can, Targa can, Yai can. And the thing is, when we have a good games and also very pressure moments, I feel like our comm gets maybe sometimes a bit messy, where we have 4 people speaking, and then exactly what Caliste was saying, we're going to do like 3 calls in 1 second. But guess what? If for 0.5 seconds you are not committed on the same play, then especially against comps that we played yesterday against the Vi, then can just Q ult and then you're dead, So I think that's the reason why sometimes we just not get along on the same page, and also is very important on our side to get back on the rhythm where like comms are something to be practiced, and then it's not like we don't practice it, right? But it can change based on the comps, based on who's feeling how,
Yeah.
And then now we are getting back to the point where actually everybody's communicating a lot, and there's not one guy who's like going to carry the whole responsibility of comms. And then in that sense, I think it's very important that we also learn how to listen to each other in this type of moments. And I mean, it's all about when we talk about connected, we're always talking about this. So yeah.
I think the thing that's impressed me, though, at least watching you guys at firsthand, was that obviously you can have the comms around the game, but it also felt like you guys are very much in the same play in a team fight. And I feel like that's, at least from watching sometimes, it felt less of a communication thing and more of a, you guys all seem to understand each other and be on the same page just inherently. Was that something that you found came over the course of the year through scrims, or was it just something that kind of clicked once you got 5 guys all got together?
I think it kind of clicked because first I was playing with Vladi in the LFL, and already in LFL we were talking a lot together about team fights and like, do we have to be on the same screen? Does he want to flank? What does he want to do? Because it's really important as AD and mid that we are always in the best situation to team fight. So already like 1.5 years ago we were talking about team fights, and then it's really easy to discuss because we're 5 talented players, but we're also listening a lot to each other. And basically making sure that everyone understands what they need to do and where I want them to be in team fights. So for every team fight, I'm trying to say like, okay, can I want you here? Or Vladi, what do you want to do? All these things. And Vladi is also talking. Everyone basically is always like, everyone is giving options, and I'm giving the best options in my opinion, for the team fight that we will do. So it's pretty easy for me to just say what I want as an AD carry player to team fights.
Yeah. I think it's a skill that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, because you've obviously worked with a lot more players individually than I have, although I've talked to a lot of players on the podcast. You and Vladi stand out to me, and you mentioned one of the things earlier already. You seem unfazed by pressure most of the time. And I'm not going to say you don't have bad games. There's certainly been bad games, but the Game 5 versus Fnatic last winter, I was very impressed. They did admittedly completely bomb the first like 3 minutes, but you in general, compared to a lot of rookies, compared to even a lot of veteran teams, seem very calm, cool, collected in these tense moments. You're already talking about team fights, which I'm sure that there are players who do it, but the two of you doing it already and then performing so admirably, immediately running out the gate when you get to LEC stands out to me. What separates them from other players or the young players that you work from your perspective? And then from your perspective, is there anyone who stood out to you, who taught you these things? How did you learn those lessons? But we'll start with you first.
I mean, I think it comes from the project that we have in KCO as overall as a club. I think, when we see someone like Caliste or someone like Vladi who have a lot of self-confidence and that are able to show up on big moments. And I think in the LFL, we actually have very good moments, whether it's LFL days or whether it's like finals, or even when you're in KC, you can play at the KCX, where you play in front of a lot of people, and then the pressure should be at these moments. And then you can actually identify that, okay, those guys, they're actually crazy. I mean, crazy is not the word, but they are ready to have to play on the big stage. And I think it's for sure like one thing that we observe as staff. But I mean, I think we obviously have some people who are going to help on the mental aspect and how to deal with these moments. How is it going to be if we play against in front of a lot of people, get solo killed? How are you going to react? All this type of mental preparation. But the most important thing is the confidence in themselves, and obviously it's because they're young, which is something that I think when you get older, that's maybe something because you will suffer from a lot of disappointments in your career. Sometimes you're going to lose against a team that you're not supposed to lose, and then it's going to be a very big trauma, and then maybe you will have this trauma in draft or in competitive, and you will be afraid of certain type of moments. But I think those guys, they know what they need to do, and it's very clear why they're good. We can point out the exact strength, and then if they somehow doubt, you can just point out exactly what their strength is. And based on the strength, they know that they need to be confident because those are their strengths. Like, let's say Vladi is the best solo queue mid laner in terms of quantities or quality over the last 2 years. Caliste is top 1 when he wants. He just looks like this. He wants to get top 1 in solo queue. So this is really important as well, because after that, you just show that you're the best at your role in Europe. And I think on stage, if solo queue is going well, scrim is going well, and those two are going well, and then you are feeling well with your team, then the confidence will come out, and it doesn't matter if you're rookie or not. Yeah. Because you already have this strength in your head or what makes you a good player, I think. And yeah.
From your perspective, Caliste, is there anything that like has made your journey different? There's a lot. Obviously, the KC family, the KC organization did a lot to bring you up. But like, what stood out to you that helps you stand out from so many young AD carries who kind of want to be in your shoes or wish they could be in your shoes?
I mean, it's a bit funny because I would say I'm a really anxious person in the life in general. But when I first joined Karmine Corp, the biggest question was, how would I react, like playing on big stage in front of all the fans and everything? And just I was like, let's just go in anyways. It's like I want to, and if you want to be a good player, like if you want to be a good player anyways, one day and you want to win world, you will be in the biggest stage ever. There will be millions of people watching you, so you don't have to choke at this point. And I have, as you said, and Reha said, there is the KC family that is helping me a lot, and I'm just growing with them, and they are helping me a lot to handle this pressure. Like even this year with the start of the split in the LEC, everyone is helping me with the pressure. I'm also working myself on the pressure with like breathing exercise or just being confident by playing good in solo queue, playing good in scrims, then nothing should go wrong. And I told myself that I want to be like the best players, like the best player ever. And if I need to be the best player, then I have to be consistent and not choke and not crumble under the pressure. So I'm always trying to be the most confident player, always trying to be confident and just making sure what I need and I want to do. And about the communication, I would say I don't have any idol or someone I'm looking up to, but I'm just looking at basically every AD carry that I think are good, and I'm just trying to get small piece that interest me of each of them. Like I don't know, Uzi, Viper, Hans, Ruler, Elk, a lot of them. And I think the first one that really taught me to like communicate a lot and say my ideas was Exakick, then Ansama, and then Exakick, sorry. Because I was watching a lot of Ansama. He was like really good at this timing. It was around when he was in Rogue, basically. And I've heard like a few communication of him, and I was like, oh, he's really speaking a lot for an AD carry. Maybe I should do it myself because I have a lot of ideas, but I'm not really speaking. And then there's a bad situation, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should have spoken, and it would have been different. And I remember this was a discussion I had with Targamas in 2023 when I joined in the summer splits of LFL. I have a lot of ideas, but I should just tell it. And then when I saw Ansama and then Exakick also, like speaking a lot when Exakick was in SK, like he was playing Raven Caliste, all these things like Ants, and they were both speaking a lot about what they want to do, how they want to play the game. I was like, I should do that myself also.
I like that. I do. It's so funny that for so long the stereotype of ADs, it's like the one role where you're just allowed to never speak. And I felt like that was true for, I'll at least say EU and NA. I know it has been true and probably in some LCK LPL teams too, but I like that is changing, and that you and Hans and Exakick when he was here also were kind of at the forefront of that change. And I imagine there's a lot of teams where ADs speak, but it's a good thing to call out. I do want to ask about 2v2 bot though, because this is an interesting thing. I think that while your team has been good, right? You talk about performing maybe under expectations. I think people are always looking for that easy thing to find. And the thing that I think general and fans, at least in the English-speaking community, I don't keep up a lot with the French community, tend to talk about is, hey, I think the bot lane 2v2 early is a weak point. And there's some stats to back that up as well. Today, that did not manifest even a little bit. But how do you feel about that perception that you and Targamas aren't the strongest 2v2 bot, that it's not where you find success?
I will say just being about consistent, because it just whenever in scrims, I think like everyone can just say we are playing always good, and then it just in officials sometimes it's not good, sometimes it's good. And also there is like gameplay wise, like deep gameplay wise, that you have to see and try to see as a viewer, because it's hard. For example, one simple thing is Yak is pathing to top, enemy jungle is pathing to bot. Of course, we have to drop at some point and we can't really fight. But I'm not saying it's always the same. It's just because of that. We are also not playing good some timings, and it can happen. There is a lot of ups and downs in the team, and it's always the same with bot lane. It's like there will be like the honeymoon phase, or everything is going well, you don't even have to speak, and just everything is clicking by itself. And then sometimes it will be a bit harder, and you have to speak. You have to go through like hard timings where you just lose 2v2 basically. You're not playing as good as you were used to, but the most important is just being consistent. Like, for example, I will say Upset and Mickey, they are really consistent. That's why they are considered as the best team in the best bot lane in the LEC. I think Hans and Labrov are good, but they are not as consistent as Upset and Mickey. That's why it's just about being consistent, because if you just get like stomped like 2 games or 1 game, you will be not considered, like you will be considered as a bad bot lane, but actually it just can happen. There is a lot of things to take in account. Like there is matchups, drafts, everything that can happen in officials. Also, you can also like just crumble under pressure or just play bad. It can happen. But I will say that me and Targan are really good 2v2 wise. I think we know each other really well, and we are mostly every time aligned on how we want to play the 2v2. Just as I said, sometimes it can happen to play bad, or there is gameplay things that can interrupt the game.
How do you find that consistency though for yourself? Because we've had Upset on the podcast before, and he talked about, well, it was, I understand I play a lot, I practice, but it's also going back and like deep diving the minuscule like mouse clicks that come in with certain matchups and stuff. Is that a similar process for you, or is it slightly different?
Yeah, basically, as a player, first I'm just making sure I am in a good shape by solo queue and reviewing my own game in scrims, my own clicks and everything. And then when it comes to bot lane 2v2, it's at this level, it gets even more in the international events. It gets really, really spicy, because it's like 1 click or 1 second of cooldown that can change everything. So you have to go really deep in details, and then that's where you just have to speak with your support, and that's really important to have a good duo on bot lane that can just speak of whatever, because sometimes, I don't know, you can have like different ideas on how you want to play, but the most important is to, again, be connected and like find a solution together and agree on a point. And the easy thing with Targa is that we are always, even though like we can discuss for 1 hour, we will always just find a solution, whatever happens. So it can go really deep in details, because as I said, at this level, it's really about like timings, microseconds, and clicks that are really important. Anyways, most of the reviews, they are just about like 1 or 2 clicks, or maybe I should keep this spell or play different and everything. It just, with Targa, it's just really easy.
Yeah, and we've seen that progress. Some of the progress I think we saw today was the emphasis that you put on bot in the draft. The Lucian Nami, I was very caught off guard by. Again, other than like you guys and TL. What's the TL AD? I forgot his name. Yon. You're the only 2 people in the West I've seen play this champ to success.
Are we actually?
No, it might be one. Was there another one?
I mean, it happens a lot in scrims, I think. So
it happens a lot in scrims. It doesn't happen a lot in stage.
Yeah.
Stage, this pick has been pretty cursed. Now, you weren't here for most of these years, but the Lucian Nami was super cool. Playing the Electrocute was cool as well. Do you feel like now that when you have that firepower in draft, that you guys can be that consistent bot lane that can deliver these advantages in lane as expected?
Yeah, I think it's just on me and Targa anyways to be like consistent. If we have the keys like today, we have the best matchups. It's just on us to play good, be smart about how we want to play. And yeah, about the Lucian, I'm not sure. I think it's just about official gameplay, because for me, Upset is a good Lucian, Hans is a good Lucian. So there shouldn't be a reason why it doesn't work in Europe and NA, right? But it just, in scrims, it's always working because there's a lot of fighting, it's no pressure and everything. And then in official, it's less working. But when we started playing Lucian Nami, I remember I just, like, it was in 2023, and like we were doing good, but I knew I could do something more. And then I was like, okay, exactly as you said, like in Europe, it's not working. So I have to make sure when I play it, it goes well. So it was in 2023. And then I just rushed like LPL VODs. I was watching Jackie Love Elk that were really insane at Lucian and were really aggressive. And then at this timing, Elk, I don't remember what game is it, but he did a Lucian Nami game that shocked the world. I remember it. And then from this state, I was like, okay, I will just rewatch the game, like clicks by clicks, and why. And the reason is just dashes in and being so aggressive. And then I'm just trying to be as aggressive as I can. And I think it showed up in the second game today.
Yeah. How much of that hinges on, kind of to your point earlier, you and Targa being on the same page? Because I think when you look at Lucian Nami, people just talk about Lucian for the most part, right?
Because also jungles is needed a lot of times.
Jungle is also needed too. So yeah, like what goes into making that pick look so good?
It's mostly about being connected with your team, and it's always the same thing.
No, it's fine.
It's a good answer.
It's good because you did say at the start of the podcast, like both of you, this is the most important thing for our team.
Yes.
And you have it's not like you've undermined your own point.
It's like, yes, it's a duo first, but this duo, you have to make it work with the team, because when you go to, like, you need to dash in. If you want to dash in, you need information. So you need to find the jungle, you need to have good vision. You have basically to use your turns to play as a team and then get vision so your Lucian can play aggressive. That's why people are always looking at the Lucian, because it's Lucian dashing in, Lucian dealing damage. But you need people around, you need your Nami to heal you, to buff you, to give you the vision, to be able to dash in and play that aggressive. And then just as a duo, it's pretty easy. As I said, with Targa, we're really aligned, and he's really smart about the game also. So he keeps saying in communication, and I keep saying, how do we want to play Lucian Nami? How do we want to do? And which wave? What do we want to do? So he's always on my screen to buff me, but he's also really quick as just playing with Yike and putting some wards and then coming back to the next wave, and then we can play aggressive.
Because that's the funny thing I'd see with Lucian Nami, where they wouldn't have the wards, and then it's like Lucian dashes forward and the enemy Vi just walks out of the bush and presses R. It's like, this is just a miserable time now.
Yeah, that's why I think I'm reticent, because I know it shows up in scrims, but there's a lot of champions that I think are like iconic scrim picks, right? Anything that benefits from things being really bloody that don't transition to stage. I think Lucian is the only one that's really prevailed throughout the years to struggle to make that transition to stage. It is interesting to track, though, because it is such, it's a thrilling. I love watching good Lucian games. We've had a couple recently, but that's what I want. I want to know that if you get to MSI and you lock in Lucian against an LCK LPL,
We can believe.
I want to see you do the thing that like Ruler does, where he's aura farming, where people are walking away from this champion with no range because they're scared. Like that's the dream when I watch a Lucian game. And we didn't get that for a lot of years. The final weekend, it's a big deal. I know it's hard to talk about because you don't want to give too much away, but I do want to kind of get your thoughts on heading into this. It's kind of a tricky puzzle to solve. MKOI series, very, very important. Of course, there's a desire to win the finals, but if you beat MKOI, you get the ticket to MSI, at least one of them. But where's your head at when it comes to prepping for this final week?
Yeah, I think they're a very good team. I think every team has a strength either in gameplay or in drafts. I think KOI is the team that has, KOI and G2 and us, I think, are the two teams that are very good at both, I think. So that's the most important thing that we need to talk with the team this week. But mostly, the most important thing on my side and also on the team side is just make sure when we go, is it Saturday? Yeah, Saturday, right? Mm-hmm. We are just in shape, whether it's mechanically in solo queue or just we slept well, because we know that we are a good team. And like we also every one of us believe it. But the thing is, last time we played against them, like it's not, of course, there are things in preparation that we could have changed. There's some priority picks that we didn't actually took into account. But with that being said, even with that, we should be able to take it. I think that's how we feel. And now it sounds very cocky, but most important is when we come. I like to say talking about humble, but humble enough to understand that they are not going to give us a free win or anything, or it's not going to be given to us. It's about how we come with the mindset of being like a conqueror, kind of. Yeah. And, they were very happy to beat us. And then I think we need to be vengeful and make sure that we go to MSI. But most important, I think, is focusing on ourselves, on like what we've been doing good and try to replicate. And yeah, we're going to discuss about draft. I can't really talk too much about it, but sure. Everyone has some spicy picks, but I think now, like, we know them. That's the thing of going game 5 against them. We know them, and I think we have answers to everything. So yeah, I think it's always the same thing, because if you actually look at winter first end, it's kind of the same thing where we go on a new patch, things change, and I think we are always a bit slow on our side, or we are not really sure what is very strong. And then stage comes, and then we see everything. And once we see everything, we have our own conclusions. I think we most of the time adapt to what should be done. I think it was also pretty much the same thing against G2 in lower bracket. There's like things they did, and then we were like, it's not like really prepared. It's just, okay, we actually don't have a good answer at this moment. So yeah, I think now I hope we figured it out, and then it's all about having the good talks, right? And having with a good mindset, being humble enough to know that we need to play good. We need to be the best version of ourselves to win, right?
Yeah. What was the biggest regret? What was the biggest thing that you reviewed when you talked about that MKOI series? You mentioned a couple things you felt like you could have won. A lot of people talk about draft.
Yeah, game 3 draft, I'm not happy, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's just overall, it's just a bad day for us. We mostly messed up. I think our week of scrim wasn't the best also, but it's really not much on this that we lost. I think it's just a bad day. All 5 players, we were messing up a lot individually. I think, as you say, game 3 draft could be better maybe, but it just, basically I think they were on a good day. They are a good team. We are a good team. We were on a bad day. It can happen. And then we went on game 5. So it's like, I know that now we will play against them and we will win. 3-0 or not, it's whatever. It's just, we are focusing on ourselves. Now we know them, they know us, but I'm really confident that if we are just humble enough to play our game, play as we are supposed to do, like against Fnatic today, should be pretty easy to win against them because we know them really well. We know the players, we know their tendencies, and we know their picks now. So basically, it's just in our end to be humble enough to play as we did today against Fnatic and be lucid enough and connected again.
Yeah. No, there's nothing wrong. I mean, you keep coming back to it, but again, there's nothing wrong. If that's the philosophy, and again, if you're trying to drill something into your brain, bears some repeating every once in a while. I'm really wondering what this is going to shape up to be because, to be honest, I didn't expect MKOI continue to surprise, continue to impress. Jojo had a great series against you guys, and now I'm in the situation with you guys where there's G2 who seem to have found a way to the finals, and then there was Fnatic, you, and MKOI, these teams who I'm like, yeah, I believe that the good days are there. I've seen the highs. And I'm not sure if you're going to be the team in the top of the LEC that finally bucks the trend and can keep up with G2 in terms of consistency. And admittedly, I know bot lane's not as consistent, but they've made it to the finals, so it's certainly there. How do you, what is the difference between a good day and a bad day? Can you tell before a series start for you personally, Caliste, I have to do something to get out of this headspace? Do you know, or is it something you see coming, or is it something where it's like, oh, me and Targa normally don't have to talk, and now I'm saying a thing that I normally don't have to say. Does it start to unravel? Do you guys see it coming? Am I going to make eye contact with you when you're on stage and be like, that's the look he gives me when it's a bad day. Oh shit! What do we do about that? Can you see it coming? Can you stop it? What are you doing?
It's hard. There is signs most of the time, I don't know, a player being sick or just exhausted, or you see something different, or maybe you see that he's stressed, but I don't know. To be honest, as I said, the only thing that could be a sign of our loss against MKOI or not just being a bad day is the wake of scrims, but I'm not even sure. It's hard to see. It's just when you're in the game playing basically and you see that there is something off, and now you're realizing, okay, there's something off. It will be a hard day, but then you just have to give more, and you're giving 100% and give 120%, and then you just. Yeah, it will be a rough day. It is what it is. It's life. And we didn't add enough in us to win this day, but it's life. We messed up. We have to go back to basics, being good, work, and then make sure this day, the next day, basically, is not a bad day.
Yeah, I think I have many things that I see when it's a bad day,
Yeah.
As a coach.
You also, you're sitting next to your player right now, so you don't have to reveal all the secret sauce. I know as a coach, you kind of have to be a little bit. You always have to be the adult. You don't always get to have fun and get into the mud.
After game 2, I was actually very, very tilted, but I was like, okay, how do you change the situation? But I've seen different signs. I think for us, mostly it's how we take the fights. We're talking about being connected and stuff, but yes, there's being connected, but also sometimes we are just 5 man at the wrong place, and then from our side I think it's very easy to see, and then when you're playing the game it's very difficult to change. But that's the thing. I think against KOI many times just took very bad fights or just not winning fights, which I think is not something that we usually see whether in scrims or competitive. I think today, for instance, most of the fights we took are good fights for us, and then if we die it's because either we misplayed or it was just I guess Atakan was a terrible fight, but you told me it was fine. I'm not sure. I need to rewatch, but yeah, it's either we do a very obvious mistake, or I think that's how I see it. For me, when I see okay, we take the right fights, then we're having a good day, I think. And against KOI, for instance, game 1, I think we take a fight with Rumble where we go too deep. Kana tends to die, which doesn't happen most of the time. Yeah. He's always very good at playing at the limit, using his flash at the right timing, or just being 1 HP, and then some type of days, just against KOI, it happened that we kind of made a mistake. Yike made mistakes. I think everyone was making mistakes. That's the thing about the bad day. I can't say one player from against KOI where I'm okay, you're the one today. Okay, what do you want to play? Well, I follow you today. You decide. We all made mistakes, So yeah, I think that's the most important thing. Just making sure that okay, we're on stage, and then okay, we are focused enough to do the right thing.
And do you have like rituals or something that you can try and bring to the team to drag them out of that? Or is it just kind of like, I'm going to make the draft as easy as possible so there's little decision making as possible?
It's a bit tricky to talk about draft because it's fearless.
Fair, 100%,
so,
I understand. Yeah.
like, it's very tricky because basically the way it goes, like, okay, game 1 is like this, game 2 is like this, game 3 is like this, and we know what's going to happen, and we can't really like adapt draft to draft. We need to, you need to, okay, this is the most OP champ, we need to play this, right? And I mean, I think that's something I need to still to learn. I think probably I'm not sure how to handle this type of moments yet. I discussed a lot with my staff whether I should shout. Maybe. What do you think? I mean, like genuinely, I don't know if I should shout. I don't think it's like useful, but
It's
maybe
hard.
I also
just
hate to break it to you, but probably if they want you to be the kind of guy that shouts at people, you probably can't ask your players if you should shout.
No, it's fine. It's fine because it's mature enough, right?
Yeah, that's sure. It's
And
fair
then,
enough.
but I think like the thing is, I truly believe that every one of my players is trying his hardest. It's not like
Yeah.
someone is not doing the effort. It's like, okay, we're just completely off today. And then, shouting, for instance, has two possible outcomes. One, either like wakes up and then try to do the right thing, or completely the opposite, completely break down and confidence goes down. So that's why I think it's very, very difficult to find the right way. But yeah, I mean, talk with Caliste after.
It's just it's just difficult because everyone here is here to win, and it's not like everyone is coming and waking up. Oh, today I want to lose against KOI. No, it's not like this.
Yeah.
It just everyone knows something is off. It's hard to change. The only thing you can do is just give advice. It's just okay. We're not good on this. Maybe you can do this better. Be careful about this, that. It's hard to really have like a clear solution because it's always a weird situation. So it's not like there is a big screen with the solution on it.
Cool that the adaptation has been successful thus far, at least. Obviously, it's always a work in progress until you win Worlds, and then it's not a work in progress for 1 month until you start again. I want to transition now to community questions. Shout out to everyone, whether it was on Twitter or the YouTube community tab for asking questions. We, of course, unsurprisingly for you guys, even though we were a little bit late getting the tweet out, had a ton of immediate questions and a lot of really good questions. I want to start with one for you, Reha. What is the most? This is from @Kookie_all is the Twitter handle. I think I'm going to mispronounce the name and it's not going to sound the way that this person intends it. So we're going to go with just the handle. What's the most important thing that you've learned between last year and this year in terms of coaching?
Oh, wow. That's a good one. From last year to this year?
Yeah, between these 2 years.
I think the most important part is, it's related to the teams I play against. It's like now I've seen and I've known what the teams are doing and how we can beat them. I think last year, let's say we play against G2, there's no way we could win, sadly, and just the truth. But even in those wins, you could see exactly what they were doing that they were so good at. Like, for instance, I can say, like, we didn't talk that much about G2, but Caps, for instance, I think this year has completely changed his playstyle from last year. If you look at last year, I was playing Azir, Tristana, playing split push and then winning games by himself. And now I think it's completely different. Now he's playing Italia, Ari, Annie, and just taking over the map, trying to TP, doesn't want to farm sideways. And all those teams, even if they make changes, like Fnatic is the same team as last year. Almost. Maybe their bot lane is different, right? But they are the same team as last year. And then I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned myself is adapting to the new environment and the new teams, because going from LFL to LEC, I wouldn't say it's that difficult, but I think it's completely different in terms of level of gameplay. And there's a way more attention to detail, as Caliste was saying, than in the LFL. So I would say, just like knowing the teams I play against, knowing the players I play against, how to beat them, and then I can translate that to my players as well. I think it's very important. I think one thing that we missed a bit last year was clutching out moments, whether like last year we do double top 10, so it's like big meme and stuff. But I don't know if you guys remember the SK game was like 45 minutes game. We try to end and then we get ace 4v2. And then we lost the game after that. Like, I think if we would have won that game, we don't do double top 10 and it's completely different. The season is completely different. But at that moment, we're not able to clutch it out. So that's something that I try to repeat as much as possible, especially to the younger guys, is like, because you will have your star moment, by the way. There will be a team fight, or there will be a moment where it's going to be you who's going to be clicking and people are going to shout your name, and it's important that you do it. Because that's how you're going to enjoy and have fun during the game. Yeah. And after that is the tricky part to have to tell guys, don't be cocky. That's how it goes.
The gray area, the absolute nightmare of being a person is both extremes are wrong. It's always somewhere in the middle, right?
Yeah, exactly.
This question from Casey Dritto @Dritto_1400, who says, this is for you, Caliste. Vladi is working closely with Apples for his landing positioning. Khan is also working with Wadi to understand his needs and transfer kind of the team knowledge. Do Caliste and Targamas work alone on their mistakes, and how are they taking time to analyze other bot lanes? What's your process for improving 2v2? You mentioned some of it earlier, but is there any special rituals that you guys have when it comes to tracking your improvement? And is there anything that the staff are doing that maybe this KC fan or KC fans in general aren't aware of to like support Targamas and Caliste in that development?
Basically, it's really simple. As I said, with Targamas, we are like really close to each other. So basically, if there is one game on one moment, we think the other is completely hinting or just doing a misstep, we're telling to each other, you're griefing me. And then we discuss, and then it's just simple discussion. Also, Apples is looking with us when he has time to look at botlane 2v2s, how it works, on everything, and just discuss with each other. But it's really simple. I'm looking on my side, Targa is looking on his side, and if we have anything, literally anything, one click or one spell, we are just looking at each other and saying, oh, maybe you should have done that, I can do that, I can't do that. It's really simple. And we are not scared of just saying, you're griefing me. It's just that simple.
Yeah. I like that honesty. I like that candor. Similar to what you said earlier, right? It's like about knowing the people that you work with, because there's plenty of teams where, I mean, in the early days of esports, it was every team. They just swore at each other. This is some scrims were not a pretty place to be. I'm glad there's not any audio recordings of those players during those times, which turned out it wasn't the right strategy for everyone. But it's cool that you guys kind of have that relationship. Did you have a follow-up? Sorry, I couldn't see his hand.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to track that progress for you guys in your 2v2. I am curious on like what is like the biggest leap in progress that you think you guys have made this year? Is there any one moment that kind of stands out where you guys really, because obviously you had so much history together before you even joined the LEC, but is there anything that really kind of similar to the question earlier about your biggest learning? Is there any moment this year or through the time that you've had with Targa where you really feel like you guys leveled up and kind of clicked?
I'm not really sure. I would say around first end timing. I think when we went to first end, then we were basically winning against every bot lane of LPL. So we were playing really good, and just as I said, there is a honeymoon phase, and then when there's honeymoon phase, you have nothing to say, and we're really aligned together, and there's nothing to say. And then sometimes there is hard times, and then the most important is just to, when there is hard times, well, we are not aligned together. We are playing bad. It's really important to discuss, and since we are knowing each other really well, it's really simple to say you are griefing, oh no, I'm griefing, and then you can get back to this honeymoon phase where everything is going well, and you're sure of exactly how you want to play each matchup. Sometimes it can happen that we are unsure on what matchup do we want to play, and then basically we are just discussing. It can take like 5 minutes to 1 hour, but just we are discussing and we are making sure there is a conclusion at the end, and then the next time we are doing something better or different.
I think there was one timing, but we actually lost that game. But I think like the Draven Kesa matchup against Viper, I remember I talked with Targa at the end. It was like, we were cooking him so hard, by the way. And I think that's, it was like at this point we realized, but we lost that game, right? So it's a bit weird to talk about it. But I remember Targa talked to me about this. It was like, okay, we're actually very good, Yeah. And I think this realization is very important, because I think we don't need to go into that
your point about
debate, but if we want to perform internationally, we need to realize that we are good enough. That's the first step before even saying, okay, we're going to win Worlds. Like, we need to be knowing that we are good enough, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's like a personal thing, collective thing, but also a personal thing as well, that you know that, okay, I can beat those guys, I can match those guys. And I think, I remember, I talked with this Targa, but I don't know how you felt about this one. It's sad because we lost and then we didn't kill them, but if it would have gone slightly bit better.
And I don't think the point is that you are like, oh, we are in this moment better than them. It's that like you can be. You can beat them.
I guess the matchup is that easy, though, no?
Yeah.
The thing is during first end we scrimmed a lot against LPL teams. It was going well, and also against Jakilov and Viper, we were doing good. I think we were doing good, and even though there was hard matchups or easy matchups, we were doing good. Like when it was hard matchups, we were doing good, and when it was really easy or just easy matchups, we were really like playing good, and we were not scared to just go in front of them and kill them. Like for example, this game we should have killed them, and then this was a completely different game, and we were cooking them. There was like 20 to 30 CS behind. They couldn't play the game. We are 2 plates ahead and everything, and then it just. Yeah, the matchup is easy, but we're also not scared to just play, and we know we are good enough to play good. So that's a really good sign for us.
Was there anything that surprised you about playing against those bot lanes at all?
Basically they are just always walking into your face. If they are losing or winning, they will just walk into your face, and just make you think that there is something they know, but you don't know. And that's what I was doing mostly in LFL. It's just, even if I'm losing, I'll just walking against player and then they back off. It's just, there's a lot of this, but the best of the best, this is really on another level because they're also near perfection in mechanically. So even though they're losing, maybe they will win because you're like, wait, he's griefing. I need to punish him. And then you're like, oh, it's free, but he's just going to outplay you and win still.
Yeah. I mean, that's an intense thing to go against. But I'm really glad that for the most part, it sounds like you guys aren't affected by, this was the curse of, I think probably EU and NA for like 2016, 2017, large parts of 2018 was just like Korean teams especially, LPL teams to a lesser degree, were the boogeymen. You talk to any, I remember, Sven and Mithy in the G2 case just saying like, it's just, what do you do? What do you do? They're unbeatable. They're better at macro. And there's no fault to them. That really is how it felt in that era. But it definitely wasn't what you wanted to hear from the team that you were sending to every single international event. I'm not going to lie. And so breaking down that illusion, I think is big, right? Especially as a team that's beaten G2, because I think domestically they're the closest thing most teams have to that. Last year, especially, where it was just like, oh, Caps is so far forward on Wave. Like, he must know something that I don't know. And half the time you'd be right, and half the time he was just finding out.
I mean, it was.
Were you gonna come up and see if there was a jungler there or not? I mean, he's done it since 2018. A lot of people just never tested him. The next question is, this font is kind of soft, so I'm just gonna pull some ahead from YouTube. To Caliste Reha, where does the passion for the game come from? What was your first gaming setup like? What was the process for you guys getting into games?
Well, it's really simple. I have two brothers, and then the second brother was watching the first brother. Yep. I'm the third one. I was watching the second brother. So it's just really simple. It's simple as that. And then I was just watching my brother from 6 years old. I was watching my brother playing a lot of games, and I just copied every game that he played. I'm playing the same one. And among these games, there was League of Legends, and he was really good at this time because he was like playing support, and he was master. And at this time, it was really good. Mm-hmm. And I was just watching League of Legends, and I was really loving this game. And basically, I just kept watching him. I was watching on YouTube other things with the computer of my mother. And then at 8, I finally got my first computer that was really like not good. It's a first computer, it's like 30 FPS, not that good. And then I started playing myself. And then I was just having fun. I don't know, I was playing random champs. I was playing Vayne top, Mastery top, Rengar, Nasus jungle, without stacking, just I was just playing. I was having fun, and then from 8 years old, I was starting playing League, and then I would just never stop because it was really funny. Happy. I was just happy playing League, and I was really enjoying the time. And then at some point, I was watching LEC games, Worlds. I was really getting hyped, and then I was like, "Well, I will try myself." And then I just grinded the ladder, and then played professionally, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, what a glow up to start from such a young age, and cool that you're not the first person to have, a brother you watch them play all day. But I like any story that starts with just that amount of passion. And look, we've all been there. I can't remember who it was. It was Ender used to talk about Kennen Warmog's top because he thought Warmog was broken. I used to think Mundo was a complicated champion because he used health as a resource. It's a great time to play League. Obviously, we all grow up. We learn things. We learn the meta. Sometimes we learn too much. League isn't as fun. But for you, it sounds like that spark never died, and that's great. Ray, how about for you? We don't talk a lot about coaching staffs getting into pro. What's your history, man?
Let's just say at uni, I got addicted to League of Legends when I was like 19. At the worst time of my life, by the way.
Yeah.
Worst time because I was actually having engineering exams and it was the important moments, and I just started to play League because I was so I think it was 2013 the finals at Staples Center, which was the home of Los Angeles Lakers, and I was like, wow, so big, so cool, I started to play, and I just played for like maybe 5 to 6 years, and then I find a way to mix both my studies and my passion, I think, with the game. And luckily had a chance so it was Kameto Corp back in the days.
Yeah.
And start from that, to be honest. But yeah, before that, it was like 6 years, where I had like maybe 2K5 games every year,
Yeah. I feel you. Playing too many games.
Yeah, it was literally addiction, by the way. I know it's.
No, I feel you. Trust me. You are not the first. You were not the first person to talk to me about their first or second year of college or exams being like, so League of Legends. Yeah. It's a great game.
It was.
Good set limits on yourself too, though. It is. Yeah, it is. It's a good time. Rob, what's your start? I don't want to leave you out of this.
I
brother
didn't. No, well, I'm the oldest brother, so
yeah.
I got my younger brother into it. But no, I started playing. So I only got my first PC when I was 19, 20. But I used to play a lot of like Halo and Gears of War and stuff on Xbox. And then I moved into PC. I started playing a ton of StarCraft and then learned that esports was really a thing at that stage. And then from that transitioned into... So I have the same thing where I just get obsessed with it. So I went deep into StarCraft and then got way better than my friends who were also playing with me. So we're like, which ruined the 3v3s we're trying to play because I'm trying to keep us all alive as they are trying to make the Yamato cannon builds off of one basis.
If you never played StarCraft, is very bad.
Yeah, it's like terrible. Battle cruisers are expensive, and he did not want to expand for resources. But then after that, we were like, well, we got to try a new game because we're playing at 2 different levels. So then we're like, let's try League of Legends, and then that's how I fell into it. But yeah, and then played college, and then exams happened, and I did the opposite where I was like, I need to step away from this because I can't do exams in League of Legends. And then they were like, hey, well, why don't you try casting if you're not going to be playing? So that's how I got into casting.
Well, you know what? I love it. Whether you spam it and get addicted or try to ignore it, it all ends the same. It's the cow with the 2 doors. No matter what, you end up back in League of Legends.
The thing is even my parents tried so hard to have this not happen. There was like, you were not allowed to, because it started off, you could only play at the weekends. And then it was like, okay, well, me and my brother would start getting up at like 6 a.m. and then 5 a.m. and then 4 a.m. so we could play computer games all the time. And then it was like, okay, well, now you're not allowed to play until, I think it was 10 a.m. We're allowed to start playing. But then it would just go, well, then we're just going to play till like 10, 11, 12, midnight, 1, 2. We just extended it on the other side. And then they were like, okay, it's between 6 and 10. And that is it. No computer games outside of that. But I think that just put like more interest in it because it became like the forbidden fruit that we really wanted to get to.
Were you ever not allowed to play? Like, were your parents ever the kind of parents that were like, okay, so I can see how this might be a profession one day, but mostly school? Like, what was the relationship like for you when you were first getting started?
Yeah, I mean, at first it was mostly my mother because it was pretty easy because my brother, they were playing. Yeah. But well, I was addicted also, so I was playing too much and I needed to go to school. So at some point, my mother had to like cut internet at like around 1 or midnight because I was playing too much and I would not stop. And then I had to go back to school. So at the start, it was not that easy, but then she just let me going. And then I was like knowing myself, this is not good for me to like sleep too late. I need to go back to school and everything. And then she just let me play. And then with the time, I told her, I want to play professionally, and she was like, okay, that's fine.
See, unlike the two of us, these two had people that stopped them. The nice thing about when you get to college is for the first time in your life, no one is there to stop you, and it does not lead to a...
Yeah, see, I did university, but I lived at home.
So that's the only reason you found the balance. That's the life hack for anyone who's thinking about getting really into League of Legends in 2025. One more thing before we go, or 2 more little things. We wanted to play a segment. We just want to check some stress levels. So what's going to happen here is I'm just going to ask you how stressed you are in a certain situation, and you guys can both just give me a 1 to 5. Just trying to gauge if there's anything that could mess up the connection.
1 to 5?
1 to 5. 1 to 5. And we'll just give you an example. I want to start here. So HLE or any LCK team have counter pick for support or AD carry. How stressed are you? 1 to 5. Bad matchup. You're drafted. You're walking into it. We'll start with you. How worried are you about that lane phase?
I would say 2, to be honest.
Yeah.
Damn. All right. I don't think we're going to get much higher than a 2. If that's how scared you are for that one. How scared are you? How scared are you?
I'm not really scared. Like, what did he pick? Gragas instead against us? I mean, I don't think
he picked Renata into Alistar. This was the most scary.
Yes. I mean, but the thing is, Ritual, it's not like he picked something good, no?
I mean, I don't know, but it was the hardest matchup. But to explain it, it's just League of Legends. Like, okay, it's HLE or I don't know, JNG, T1, anything. At the end, it's League of Legends and it's 2 humans against 2 humans. So if both sides play good, you will always find a way to get out of it, I guess.
That is... Yeah. Bam, straight to the simplest version. Not good for narrative though. I'm gonna keep pretending like it's 2 titans in the arena, if you don't mind. But I think that is a good way to summarize it. All right, this one controversial. This is like the number one. Again, we talked about 2v2 bot lane being like the easy thing for people to point at. Yike on Vi is the other one. So Yike locks and Vi. Are you nervous? 1 to 5. 1 to 5.
It's a 1.
It's a 1 for you.
It's mega OP.
It's mega OP, but the stats are not in your favor. And this is no fun. I love Yike. We've got a good relationship, but like, I don't know if it's like if it's pure coincidence that the connection crumbles a little bit every time this champ is logged in. I don't want to say correlation, causation.
I just love we lost Caliste.
And I'm not trying to completely get you to sell him out. I know I'm doing him a little bit dirty right now.
I will say it again. It's not on Yike.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah. That's the tricky thing in the Vi game. It's, I mean, sometimes it is, but it's no, it's true. Sometimes it goes too deep, right? Happens you play Vi, right?
Just say it. It's a 5. Just say
it's a 1, but it's not on Yike. That's the thing. No. For real, it's a 1. It's just I have to say it. We're just trash at playing with Vi. That's it. It's better. But when we first started, it was after first end basically because we played against a lot of Vi in first end and like Sylas, Akali, all these comps, and then we're like, oh, this is like good. We have to play them, and then we're like, yeah, we don't play them. So after first end, we were practicing Vi for basically the wall split, I think, and. Yeah, it's not going well, but it's practice, and that's why the split was a bit messy because we could have gone like first place by playing Victor, Azir, Tristana for like the same as winter splits and just win games, but it's just useless. The goal is to perform in international, be a better team. So it's not only on Yike, it's just as a team overall. It's a comp. Vi is a comp. That's something we have to understand, and we needed to understand. It's a comp. It's a play style. So of course, if we are like not doing the Vi playstyle and the Victor Ari playstyle as a team, of course it will not go well. Yeah.
It sounds like the biggest Achilles heel that you've highlighted or been willing to highlight is kind of the adaptability of the team to like new things, if I'm right here. Because you mentioned patch, it takes a little bit of time before you guys are connected, whether that's read on the meta or confidence in the picks. And it sounds like learning a new strategy. And Vi's kind of unique in that way. There's not a lot of other champions that demand that, although Lucian probably is a good example. It sounds like this is if I had to highlight from an outside perspective, anything that this Casey might struggle with, it might be picking up those new play styles. So those are the things that seem to take you the most time based on what you've said. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's like adapting to the play style. It's mostly to not give the OP draft to enemy people for no reason, which I don't know, we gave Vi to some teams at first end. I think last week we gave like, I mean, I can't say I don't want to say, but we gave some OP draft to KOI and you know, it's a matter of, okay, this combo is very OP or this Dutch champion is actually very OP, guys. We can't just ignore it, you know? Because the thing is, we don't do it on purpose. We're not like, we forgot about it. It's just, okay, we played against scrims. It's not a problem. And guess what? You go on stage, you lose, you know? So, and then you actually realize, okay, this is actually very strong, you know? So yeah, I mean, I think this is, obviously the read on meta when you go on a new patch, because we would try most of the things that we see all the teams are playing. We're rarely late. It's mostly on decisions than actual play style, I think. But yeah, Yikes Vi is a 1.
It's a 1. Yeah, it's a 1. Okay, it's a 1. It's a 1. Yeah. Okay, so 2 is the highest we have so far. All right, next up, we'll do this. We'll do the last one first, Rob. Do you want to say this one? You want to see this? This is yours, baby.
So an NA team started shit talking at internationals.
1 to 5.
Where's the stress?
How nervous are you? Because to be fair, for context, if you missed first stand, there was reason to be stressed. And it wasn't, the game was a little bit rough for sure, but there was also a lot of tiebreakers going on in the background. I will not believe a 1, boys.
You do?
I mean, I will say 2 if you want, but, but for me it's a 1 because I don't really mind about trash talk. It's like you can say the same thing with Super. It's just trash talking a lot, but it's just mostly for fun. It's about content and everything. It's just to spice the thing up. And I'm sorry for the region, but I don't mind about Europe versus NA, like everything and all these things. I'm just playing against a team. Whatever happens, I just want to win against them.
Fair. Unsurprisingly, the next question is when you face Supa in playoffs. 1 to 5. Sorry, there's like a script. At a certain point, you know, it's like in an interview when they ask you how you feel. There's some questions you have to hit. In the you versus Supa one, you know, I like my narratives. If you could say anything other than he's just a guy, I'm just a guy, we're 2 people playing League of Legends, I'd love it. But respect if you want to give the diplomatic answer. I totally understand. 1.
I would say 1.
Yeah, fair. 1 is fair. 1 is fair.
He's a 1, I'm a 4.
You're a 4? I mean, he probably earned that after the Yike Vi stuff.
No, I mean, just a 1 is a good player, but that's it.
All right.
Nothing to say. It's over.
All I'm saying is, if we ever integrate the LCK style trash talk videos, I'm gonna need you to spice it up. For the people. You know, I respect it. Like realistically, yeah, you're a competitor, and I think the rest there's a showmanship. It's a television product. It's a broadcast. It has to be entertaining, but it's very clear from your guys' mindset that your ego is a thing in the sense that it gives you the confidence to make plays, but it's not. You're not trying to be delusional about it or disrespectful.
I mean, it's just dangerous to have too much ego and be too confident.
I mean, it's easy. Every time we are very cocky or overconfident, we lose. They're just straight up.
It solves itself.
G2 for lower bracket finals, like, there's no way we don't 3-0. Guess what? Boom, 3-1. Was it 3-1?
No, it was a 3-0.
Are you guys nervous
lower
about
bracket finals against? Oh yeah, it was 3-0. 0-3 we did against them.
But we were right all
First
along.
time we were like, oh my god, we are free schedule. We play LCP and LTA. Guess what? 0-2. Last week we were also very, very.
I mean,
confident.
I want to say one thing though. We were right. There's no way it was not a 3-0. We lost 3-0.
yeah, but no, it was 0-3 then. But that's the thing.
It's a 3-0.
Last week we were like, oh,
Okay.
we're gonna go to MSI. Guess what?
Last one. I'm coming up with this one on the fly. Yike gives a really cocky interview headline that ends up on Reddit. 1 to 5. I've never seen any player quote more copy pasted in threads, and I'm sure as you guys win, it'll get copy pasted again. But this meme has come full circle. At the start, people were like, "I love the confidence, KC, so good." And then you started to lose, and people were just quote. Shout out to Sheep Esports; they are making bank off that particular headline.
Yeah.
But is that the kind of ego you're talking about? Like, if your players give an interview and they're really cocky, even if they're just doing it for show, are you like, "Oh God"?
I mean, the thing is, it's not for the show.
Yeah.
I know they really. I mean, and I also really feel it. It's just like we are dominating in practice, so. You know, just like we are confident because we're winning practice as well, right? And we are good in solo queue, so we need to be confident on stage. But the thing is, we need to respect the people that are in front of us because they're also practicing. And the thing is, scrim results doesn't matter that much. The results in itself, it doesn't matter if you win or if you lose. It's about how much you prepare. And I think like Koi was saying that 20% win rate in scrims before playing us or something like this. And then, like, yeah, you know, like I'm like, it's understandable because then after that you come into the best of 5 and then you're very lucky, and especially if you have a momentum because you win game 1. Which happened against Koi, then, you know, things can really go fast in the best of 5. So
what is your 5? What gets you to 5? Is there anything in your career that you can remember if you can't think of something now, an example from the past? Like what are the moments where you're like, oh damn?
What's a 5?
I can tell my 5.
Yeah, tell me.
I mean, it just it happened already, but it's just a small thing. It's when against HLE, the Jane game, when I was hitting the Nexus, my heart rate was like probably 300. I was gonna explode, but
when the Nexus was
when I was eating the Nexus.
Okay.
When it was 2v2, and then I don't know, like the whole game was fine. I was chilling, I'm doing my game, chilling, and then when I'm eating the Nexus, that's where my heart rate is actually going up, and I'm like, I'm gonna faint.
But the one time you like probably can't. You're like you're just hitting a Nexus. You cannot misclick, and you're like something will go wrong.
The Nexus starts moving.
And then for 5 seconds, I was like, oh my god, that's not good. And then I was like, okay, just focus, and it was all good.
What's a 5? That's a good question. I'm not sure. I mean, 5 would probably be Koi, like next weekend. Yeah. Because it's a win or go home situation, and we know we want to reach the objective. So I think it's a mix between the 5 and the 1, because I know we're confident, but I'm also afraid that we're overconfident.
Well, you're yapping so much.
I mean, actually don't know what's a 5.
I mean, it's fair. Maybe I hope for your sake you don't have to experience any.
I mean, I had it last year though. So
I had my 5 last year. Going 10th is kind of a 5.
I enjoy my time now.
I know what's a 5 for you actually.
Okay, tell me.
You're like preparing a full draft for 1 week, and then Targa comes into the room and is like, it's shit. For sure. And then you're thinking about everything.
It's a 4. I mean, the thing is, we would talk together, right? And then we talk with Apples as well about, okay, we should go in that direction.
Yeah.
So, like, I would like, Targa would not do that, I think. But someone else could do that. And be like,
Vladi,
this is so bad. You know, and I'm like, bro, it's okay. I got it. You know, it's so hard sometimes, but yeah.
I feel you. I can only imagine what it's like to be like, guys, I've done the work. I put my entire heart and soul into this, and it's like, it's bad we don't want to play it. And you're like, well, it's important that you're comfortable, but goddamn, like,
I mean,
it's rough.
Especially draft, because draft, you can go in so many directions. You can change one thing.
Also with Fearless now, like it used to be so much simpler. You're just like, all right, we're never changing bot lane matchup unless they do something different. Great, now we're going to just talk about top side, and it's easy.
Right? I mean, you know, like we realized that this year that drafting before was so easy, by the way. It was
People used to think about how much time people used to put into preparing drafts for a best of 5.
I mean, I don't know.
How silly that feels now. Like the 20-hour draft meeting or whatever for a best of 5 where you could play every single champion, every single game. Like,
yeah, I mean, you just adapt to what they showed. Okay, they find a blind pick that we don't have any cards, but you just remove it. It's fine, you know. Now it's like, okay, you have a bullet. It better work, because if it doesn't, then what's the next bullet? You know,
you're out of bullets. Yeah, you one shot at a time.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure having you here.
As well.
You're going up against MKOI, followed by G2. We normally do predictions, but I'll just make me and Rob predict, because you guys are going to predict yourselves, and I think that's fair. But there's a lot of pressure, especially given that we're wearing KC jerseys right now. Because we lost a bet and they earned it. We predicted against them through no fault of their own. Their fault was winning, or not winning. In my eyes, it was a victory. First stand. Doing well at first stand.
Yeah, I think you boys have it against MKOI. I think they came in with good prep. I think they caught you. Yeah. And I think coming into a rematch, it's going to be much more difficult to catch you off guard like that again. But yeah, I think against G2, I don't know. I think G2, if it was coming into playoffs, I'd give it to you guys hands down. But G2 seem to have come alive. And I think that's going to be an incredibly close one. So I could see that being just a 5-game banger. Yeah, I don't know what way that breaks.
It's really hard to say.
Yeah, because it's also, I think the problem is, and it's kind of what you guys were talking about earlier, is I don't feel like we've seen a huge amount from G2. Like they haven't had to bring out any crazy picks. Like we've kind of seen what MKOI have. We haven't really seen fully what G2 have. So yeah, I don't know. But I think there's a 5-game that could go either way.
Do you think that the G2 position is the best position to be in terms of prep? Like, do you think it's better to not know who you're playing against, but get the luxury to watch them the day before, or know who you're playing against, but then have to play another team after? Like, obviously, it's preferable to be G2 because they play one less best of 5, but
they're qualified to MSI.
And they're qualified to MSI. Yeah. A little bit less pressure, for sure. But like, this format is unique, and that you will have to play 2 back-to-back best of 5s. But I'm not sure what it feels like to be G2 in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good. It's a good question, to be honest. I feel like momentum is a very important concept when you go into the last weekend, which we had during winter, and we hope we have again. So,
if this 3-0 doesn't count as momentum, this has to count as momentum.
But I mean, like, we have a break, you know.
Yeah.
But then we played the day before, which I think that's a bit of a tricky situation for and I think it's what happened, by the way, in the finals, because I think G2 is not a bad team, and they were not a bad team in winter at all. And then the thing is, once we start winning, I think they completely, they didn't know what to do too much, whether it's in game or in draft, I think. Yeah. So, but I think they will be for sure very prepared, because we talked a lot of trash during after winter. We're like, oh my God, they showed us everything, you know, so I think they will for sure be ready. So it will be a tough one, but I mean, I think I would always be in a position where if I can play on Saturday, I think it's a good thing. Even if it's very tiring, I think it's a good thing. I mean, obviously you play on Saturday and you win. But Saturday and you lose, then you just go home. So who cares? But
you'd rather be qualified to MSI. But if you have to play and you win, it's better to have that momentum.
I mean, the thing is, we all are talking about MSI because that's number one objective. But let's be honest, like, we want to win the split, you know. Like, we know we can do it. We know it's going to be tough, but we want to do it, you know. So not sure.
There's not much to say. I think you said everything. I agree. If you take out the fact that, G2 is already qualified to MSI and they're in finals, I will for sure say that I want to be in the momentum position.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, assuming you win, but I appreciate the perspective. It is a weird spot to be in. Regardless, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. Congrats again on your insanely dominant series and getting us out of here well ahead of schedule. Normally we're done at like midnight, so you guys
this is great.
I don't even know what time is it, to be honest.
It's 9 o'clock.
It's like 9 o'clock.
It's 9?
Yeah.
Oh my God, we can go restaurant maybe.
So thanks again. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
For those of you who don't know, Saturday is their matchup versus MKOI, and then the winner will face G2. Whoever wins the series between KC and MKOI will be our second spot at MSI. We'll decide seeding and who is the LEC champion on Championship Sunday. So be there. It's going to be a great time. We have one more episode of EUphoria after the finals. We don't always do it, but we're doing it this time to prep for MSI, to talk about the highs and the lows. So be sure to check that as well. And thanks everyone so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.